Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And hello, welcome everyone. Welcome to our 80th UTM Engineering Distinguished Lecture Series. My name is Muhammad Rafiq and I'm the Dean of Engineering, University Technology Malaysia. This particular session of DLS is jointly organized with Malaysia-Japan International Institute of Technology, MJIIT. And our distinguished speaker today is Professor Enrique Herrera-Viedma from the University of Granada, Spain. To introduce our speaker today, I hereby invite Professor Ali Slamat, Dean of MJIIT. Over to you, Prof. Ali.
Well, thank you very much, Prof. Rafiq, for introducing me. And today we are going to have our distinguished lecture series co-organized by Malaysia-Japan International Institute of Technology. And we're going to have our distinguished speaker, Prof. Enrique Herrera-Viedma. He's the Vice President for Research and Knowledge Transfer, University of Granada, Spain. And he's going to share with us very interesting topics, related to the analysis tools for evaluating science. And Professor Herrera is one of the top scientists in the world and the most cited researchers in the world in Shanghai Jiatong ranking, and very prominent professors in computer science. And of course, a lot of achievement that has been achieved by Professor Herrera, and he's involved in many projects and many publication and research, and he's more importantly, he's the members of the journals, associate editors in many ISI journals, such as Knowledge-Based System, Information Sciences, Journal of Intelligent and Fuzzy System, Soft Computing, Fuzzy Logic, and many others. So it's quite a very vast experience of Professor Enrique. I've been knowing him for many years already with our colleagues in SciMAT, in IE, and very unfortunate that this time we could not meet face to face to each other, Professor Enrique. And anyhow, based on your experience on enriching and expanding the science of research based on the bibliometric areas, and of course, improving the ranking of many universities in the world, and particularly Spain, and currently you are the Vice Rector of Research and Development. I believe that a lot of European research activities also concentrated in University of Granada. So I think without further ado, I would like to welcome you to share your very interesting topic today related to the analysis tool for evaluating science. With that, the floor is yours now, Professor Enrique.
Thank you very much, dear Ali, for your nice presentation, for your invitation to participate in this collection of the speak that you organize from UTM Engineering University. For me, it's a pleasure to share this time with you today. In this occasion, I want to explain Can you listen? Can you see my presentation? I suppose that yes.
Yes, we can see your presentation, Prof.
Thank you. But I say that in this occasion, I want to share with you my experience, my knowledge about to evaluation of science. I want to share with you different analysis tools that we developed in Granada together with my research group in order to analyze the science that the people produce. Normally, the science that the people produce using the main of the output that is the paper that the people publish in journal. Of course, that you know, we had other kind of the output that is possible to use to analyze the science, in particular the transfer activity. But today I focus on the analysis of the paper, no analysis of the transfer activity. This is other possibility to analyze the science. But when you make decision in the policy situation. Is my case because at this moment I am Vice President for Research and Knowledge Transfer in Granada University. You need different tools in order to establish the strategic program and in order to make decision. And the bibliometric tools is very important in order to make decision, in order to predict the future for your science. The more important, in order to analyze what is the situation in your university in comparison with other universities, and in this way to implement the adequate practice in order to increase your quality of the science. By this reason, when I discussed with Professor Ali this nice invitation, I decided to provide this new talk. It's true that I am a full professor in computer science and artificial intelligence. My background is related to other important topics in computer science, in particular the use of artificial intelligence to predict different things in the different framework. Actually, we are working similar to other countries in our city, in our university in Spain, in the development of the different tools, different applications in order to help to the society, in order to help to the enterprise to implement the called digital transformation. We focus on different aspects related to the biodiversity, related to the energy, and related to the health system. But I say you, today I focus on the evaluation of science. I share with you this analysis tool for evaluation of science. This is the outline of my talk. Initially, I introduced the concept of the bibliometric. That I want to explain you what is the more important approach that we had for missing the scientific research, the scientific output. Then I introduce you in different bibliometrics tools that we had to evaluate the design. In particular, I introduce you in the use of the famous bibliometric indicator called H-index. Even I want to show you different applications of this indicator. Then I want to introduce you in other important bibliometric indicator that today the people that make decision in the particular framework, for example, in the government or in the vice president position for research in the university, use in order to implement the different policy. For example, I introduce you in the highly cited paper concept in the highly cited research concept. They are very important when you are working in the and when you are looking for to work in the research frontiers. Okay. Then I introduce you in the particular bibliometric tool that we developed in my research group. This bibliometric tool is called H-classy. H-classy is the new way to identify the highly cited paper according to the use of the H-index. The concept of the highly cited paper is very important in particular ranking of the university, specifically in the Shangai ranking. Shangai ranking is composed of the different variables, but one important variable that they use to propose to develop the Shangai ranking is the highly cited paper concept. To finish my talk, I want to show you what is the more important technique in order to analyze the sign called sign mapping. Sign mapping is the complementary technique that we had to analyze the sign, is the bibliometric technique. I want to share with you the specific software that we developed in Granada University in my research group called SciMAT. SciMAT is the software that allows you to develop analysis of the sign according to the publication that the people provide, but not according to the small publication, but a small group of the publication, according to the big group of the publication, a big quantity of the publication. In fact, in my research group, we say that SciMAT is the big data tools in order to analyze the sign. More important aspect of SciMAT, this technology, is that it's possible to apply to analyze the sign, but okay, it's possible to apply to analyze every kind of the field or other topics. For example, in the industry, it's possible to apply in order to develop technological vigilance process, okay? This way, I want to show you this software, but I want to show you what is the potential of this software in order to apply in other analysis that is possible to develop today. Okay. The bibliometrics is very simple. The definition was introduced by Professor Price in the year 1963. The definition I say you is very simple. The bibliometrics is designed to evaluate and analyze the other science, okay? It's the technology that we had in order to evaluate, in order to understand, in order to explore the science that the people produce in other fields, okay? What is the goal of the bibliometry? The goal of the bibliometry is to evaluate and analyze the scientific research by means of and this is very important, quantitative indicator, quantitative measure. And normally, we define this quantitative indicator on the publication. Is the agreement among our scientific community to use the publication mainly in journal. This is very important aspect. This is the object that we use to evaluate the science with this technology that today I want to share with you. And what is the relevant? What is the reason that the bibliometry is very important? The reason is because it's possible that at the beginning of my talk, I say it's possible to use the bibliometry indicator to make important decisions in academic context. For example, to decide what is the best project to provide the money, what is the different policy to implement in order to increase the quality of the science, or even it's very, very important in every university in the world in order to develop the academic promotion. Okay, in this way, I say you the bibliometric indicators are very useful for the authority in the academic context. Okay. Okay, in this slide, I want to share with you that bibliometry is very popular topic, but it's possible to extend it, this concept, even it's possible to speak about bibliometry, but using different words. And when you review the literature, it's possible to identify different words in order to identify the bibliometry studied. One important aspect of this different concept that normally we had about bibliometry is that in the majority of the concept, always I use quantitative indicator on the same object, document, applied on the same object, document, okay? Sometimes we had hard document, in other case, we had electronic document. For example, when you say that you are developing cybermetry study or webometry study, normally you are working with electronic document, but you apply quantitative indicator in order to analyze the electronic document, okay? Then it's more usual to use other words to identify the bibliometry study. For example, it's possible to speak about informetrics, because when you analyze other aspects related to the to the policy that the people implement in the different countries, sometimes we develop bibliometry study about this kind of the idea related to bibliometry study, or sometimes it's possible to identify the bibliometry study using the word synthiometrics, okay? But in any case, all words are related to how it's possible to understand the process of the production of the sign, how it's possible to analyze the main object that contains the sign that the people produce, the document. When you analyze the document from the social point of view, you are speaking about, for example, synthiometry. When you analyze the document from the citation that the document, from the impact that the document had, you speak about bibliometry. And when you analyze the document in the electronic, on the web, in the internet, you speak sometimes cybermetry or webometry. But all different concepts are related to the same study, bibliometry study, okay? What is the important and the relevant concept that we had in bibliometry? Okay, bibliometric studies are very famous from the many years ago. In fact, I say you that the concept appeared in the year 1663. Any people know bibliometric study from this moment. But in the recent year, the situation changed because we had electronic database that is possible using this electronic database to develop the different bibliometric studies that is possible to apply to analyze the output. And this is an important issue. If you don't have this bibliographic database, this electronic database, it's impossible to develop adequate, appropriate bibliometric study. And this is important to develop bibliometric study. If you don't have this kind of database, the concept of the bibliometry perhaps today will not have a very important meaning in our society. But what happened? We have this database. What is the more important database that is possible to use to develop bibliometry study? We identify three important databases. One important database is Web of Science. It's very popular in our scientific community. Other important database is Scopus, and other important database is Scholar Google. Okay, this is the three more important databases that we had to develop bibliometric study. The first database, Web of Science, is private database. It's provided initially by the enterprise called Thomson Reuters, and now is property. The Web of Science is implemented by other enterprise. Is Clarivate Analytics the name. The other important database is Scopus, and the proprietary of Scopus is Elsevier company. And finally, Google Scholar is the product that Google provides to the academic community to develop a study. What is the more important difference if you develop bibliometric study with one database or another database? The more important difference in short is the following. In Web of Science, normally it's possible to identify less data than the rest of the database. We have the quantity of the data is minor, is less than the rest of the database. But what happened? The quality of the data that is possible to find in Web of Science is bigger. Okay. In fact, Clarivate Analytics is the company. What the specific activity of this company, Clarivate Analytics, is focused on the Web of Science. This is the main product that Clarivate Analytics had. Scopus is, when you analyze Scopus, you said that you had more data than Web of Science. And the quality is high, but no is too much high in comparison with Web of Science. Okay? But it's acceptable to develop a bibliometric study. In both cases, this aspect is very important. You need to pay to use this database. Okay, this bibliographic database, both bibliographic database are not free. You need to pay. Normally in Spain, we have the Spanish contract for all university, and the Spanish government pay the access to both database. And then the last database that is possible to use to develop bibliometric studies, Google Scholar. Okay, Google Scholar had the big data, had many data about to the output, scientific output, but the more important problem that you had with Google Scholar is that the quality of the data are minor. They don't control any question, for example, about to the different way that the people use to put the author of the document. In Web of Science, they control very well this aspect. In this way, it's possible to normalize the name of the author in the paper, but Google Scholar don't practice any effort, don't spend any effort to control, for example, this important aspect in order to identify, for example, the production, the bibliometric production, the scientific production of the one author. Okay, but in my experience, the more important bibliometric study that we developed in my group normally is using the database Web of Science, because for me it's very important the quality of the data. And in fact, when you analyze the different fields that is possible to study using bibliometric study, you said that in particular the topic related to the science, the topic related to the engineering, computer science, medicine are very good representation in the Web of Science. But you said that when you analyze the social study, the humanity, the representation website is more poor in comparison with Scopus. Scopus representing better the humanity study and the social science study. In fact, when you want to develop one study, first you need to fit what is the field. And according to the field, I recommend it to my collaborator to develop the study in different database. Okay. Okay. What is the more important approach that we have to develop scientific research analysis? In the literature, we identify two important approaches to do that. The first approach is performance bibliometry indicator. It's based on performance bibliometry indicator. In this case, the bibliometry indicator are using for measuring the impact and visibility of publication, journal, author, according to the citation that the publication received. Okay? In the literature, it's possible to identify many different bibliometry indicators that use this meaning, that use this concept in order to define their application. Okay? For example, very popular bibliometry indicator is the journal impact factor. I remember you that the journal impact factor is an indicator that we use in order to identify the quality of the journal. In fact, using the journal impact factor, it's possible to establish the ranking of the journal in the different categories. Okay. Other important bibliometric indicator that we had using the impact and visibility the publication is the age index. Age index is indicator that later I define, but this indicator uses the quantity of the publication, the quantity of the citation that the publication, the specific author received, in order to evaluate the quality of the output of this person, okay, of this author. This is very important today and is very popular. Other bibliometric indicator that we have is the highly cited paper, in order to identify the top paper of the specific author, for example, and the highly cited research. Using the concept of the highly cited paper, it's possible to identify the highly cited research. Today, I want to share with you our technology called ACE Classic in order to identify the highly cited research. Okay, this is different example of the performance bibliometry indicator that is possible to use to analyze the sign. Okay, the other approach that we had to analyze the sign is the approach based on the relational bibliometry indicator. In this case, this indicator are using for measuring the conceptual structure of the publication. It's mission to analyze the content of the publication. And what is the idea that we use to do that? Okay, we use the concept of the sign mapping. Sign mapping, with using the concept of the sign mapping, is possible to analyze the conceptual content of the publication using the keyword of the title or the keyword of the publication. Okay. Today I want to introduce you in the specific software that is possible to apply to do that, SciMAT. I want to present in the short way the concept of the age index. Age index was defined by Professor Jorge Herrera. Jorge Herrera is no bibliometry expert. Jorge Herrera is physics expert. But one day he decided to define new way to evaluate the sign that he produced. He think a new way to combine the quantity of the publication with the quality of the publication. In this way, he defined this very simple index in order to characterize the individual scientific research output. In fact, what I say in the definition, this is an index in order to quantify the individual scientific research output. The way to do that is very simple. A scientist has in the each age of his her end publication had at least 8 citations everyone, and the remaining paper had no more than 8 citations everyone, 8. This is very simple concept, but it's more easy to understand this concept with a small example. In this picture that I show you, I saw Jorge Hess when I had the opportunity to celebrate a meeting with him, because we invite him to come to Spain, to come to Granada, to explain this index and the different application. He is living in USA, but really Jorge Hess is from Argentina, and he speaks Spanish very well. I had a very interesting opportunity to discuss with him many different concepts, many ideas related to the index here in Granada University. Okay, this is the example that I want to share with you. Imagine that we had, you observe the table on the below on the on this slide. Imagine that we had one scientist with 11 publications. Imagine that we ordered this publication according to the citation that the publication received. In this way, we had the first publication received 49 citations. The second publication received 23 citations. And the third publication received 15 publications, okay? What is the age index of this individual? Okay, the age index of this individual, in this case, is 5. What is the reason? The reason is because the publication that is in the position 5 had 6 citations. And the following publication in the ordering, in this case, the 6th publication received less citation, 3 citations, okay? This is the point in the center of the number of the publication and citation, okay? This explains, in this way, you observe that the definition of the age index is a combination between citation that the publication of individual received in comparison with the paper that the publication, the paper that the individual produced, okay? In this way, it's very simple. What is possible to calculate the age index for individual? Okay, you obtain all publication, you obtain the citation for this publication, you order the publication according to the citation, and you're looking for this point. The point that the publication had more citation than the position of the publication, and the following publication don't receive more citation than the position. This is the question. In this simple way, it's possible to combine both concepts, productivity based on publication and scientific impact of the publication based on citation. One important aspect, one important property of the age index, okay, is that it's very simple to compute, okay? For all people, it's very easy to compute the age index. In fact, in the literature, it's possible to identify a lot of different variety of the age index that the people provide, because, okay, age index had a lot of advance, but had a lot of drawback. And when one guy identify a particular drawback, automatically he define a new variant of the age index. But really, the most sophisticated variant of the age index are not very popular, because normally these solutions are very complicated to compute. At the end, all people assume that the age index is a good bibliometric indicator in order to evaluate the quality of the author, okay? Additional, in the literature, it's possible to identify different applications of the age index. For example, not only to run the scientist, it's possible to apply the age index to run the journal. It's possible to apply the age index to run the research group. You imagine that you combine all publications of all members of the research group. In this way, it's possible to characterize the potential of this research group, join for the join or all publications of the member of this research group. And we identify additional way to use the age index, for example, to run the country. The same idea, you join all publications that the country produce in the particular field. In this way, it's possible to evaluate the potential of this country. But finally, I am interested to share with you the possibility to use the age index to identify the highly cited paper. Using this concept, we define in our research group the concept of the age classic, okay? In this way, we use the age index to to identify the highly cited paper. And this is the new idea to do that. Before to show you this idea, how it's possible to use the H index in order to identify the highly cited paper, I want to share with you the concept of the highly cited paper and the concept of the highly cited research. The highly cited paper was introduced by the Professor Eugene Garfield. In fact, they introduced initially the concept of the citation class. The citation class is the concept in order to identify those highly cited papers of the scientific particular field, okay? Depending on the different time window that you use, the people speak about citation class or highly cited paper. But more important aspect that you need to understand is that citation class or highly cited paper, independent of the time window that you use to identify the highly cited paper, are considered as the gold bullion of science that is possible to use to help to the people to discover important information for the development of the particular discipline. And more important aspect, the concept of the highly cited paper is possible to use to understand the past, the present, and to predict the future of the particular scientific structure. And by this reason, in every field today, is very important to develop the concept of the highly cited paper. For example, in my case, we developed a lot of study using this concept, but actually we are working with my research group in order to publish to develop a special study about the history of the IEEE Systematic Cybernetic Journal. I am vice president for publication in this important society in the world, and the next month we want to publish a special issue to analyze the journal of our society. And the editor-in-chief of the IEEE transaction system, the Professor Robert Cook, provide me the possibility to develop this kind of study because it's very important to understand the history of the system and cybernetic using the journals. Okay, this is a small example, but what is the information that is possible to identify when you analyze the highly cited paper in the particular field? For example, it's possible to develop the recognition of the major advance in the discipline. For example, to identify the emergent or basic or hot topic in order to inspire other works within the area. Other important information that is possible to provide to the people when you use the concept of the highly cited paper is to show to the people a historical perspective on the scientific progress of the specialty of the field. Okay, and for me, one important aspect, when you analyze the authors of the highly cited paper, it's possible to identify the main intellectual maker of the research field, which could be journal or research or country or research group or institution. Okay, but in particular, in my case, I had in my research individual program in the University of Granada a specific call in order to identify what is the best scientist in the particular topic. We had a special program to invite these scientists to our university in order to spend with us 3 or 4 months working in our research laboratory. One criteria that I use to do that is how many highly cited papers these scientists produce. This is important for me. Not in the past, in the present, in the last 5 years, in the last 3 years. This is very important for me in order to provide support to the research group to invite this individual. Okay, this is very important application or very simple application of this concept, the highly cited paper. Okay, in the literature, it's possible to identify a lot of study in the different disciplines about this concept, about the possibility to study the highly cited paper. For example, here I identify different studies that is possible to have in economy, in chemical engineering, in child's nervous system, in implantology, in psychology. In the last year, we had more study using the more bibliometric study using the highly cited paper. It's very popular to do that, to analyze the history and to predict the future in the different disciplines. What is the possibility? What are the possibility that we had to identify the highly cited paper in the literature? In particular, when you study this topic, you identify two possibilities to identify the highly cited paper. One possibility is to establish the citation rate or threshold to be met by the publication paper. In this case, the idea is very simple. You are looking for the publication that receives citation more than, for example, 100 times. Okay, this is the idea. Or 100, 400, or 500 times. And you say, all publications that receive more than 400 times are considered highly cited paper. In this way, the idea here is to establish this citation rate, this citation record. And all papers that satisfy this citation rate are considered highly cited paper. What is the problem when you apply this idea to identify the highly cited paper? The problem is that the citation rate differs for each discipline, are different in every field. For example, in computer science, it's possible that when you say or you fit the citation rate 100 times, it's possible that you find 100 paper or 200 paper. But if you apply the same citation rate in social work, it's possible that you don't find any paper, any document, because the citation practice, the way to produce science in computer science is totally different than the way to produce science in social work. In this way, when this situation, I suggest that you need to know very well every scientific field in order to establish the citation rate. This is the more important drawback of this possibility to identify the highly cited paper. Other possibility that we had to identify other possibility that we had to identify the highly cited paper is to choose a specific number of paper locally placed in the top of the list of the highly cited paper. Okay, in this way, you imagine that you are looking for the highly cited paper at the particular journal. You retrieve all paper of the journal, you order this paper according to the citation, and you say, okay, for me, the highly cited paper of this journal is the top 100 paper, is the top 15 paper, is the top 25 paper. Okay, you establish this rate according to the number of the paper in the top of the list order of the paper according to the citation. Again, we had the same problem, the arbitrariness. Okay, what is the reason to say that the top 100 paper are the highly cited paper and not top 200 paper? There are not any reason to do that. Depending on the topic, if you had topic with many paper, it's possible that 100 or 200 is acceptable race to identify the highly cited paper. But if you are working in other field with produce less paper, this threshold is not useful to identify the highly cited paper. In any case, when you only say both possibility, you observe that the arbitrariness is very usual in both cases. And this is not very good because you need the standard process, or we need the standard process to identify the highly cited paper in every field, independent of the particular characteristic of the field. Okay? And this is our idea to introduce the concept of the age classes and to introduce the use of the age index in order to identify the highly cited paper. This is the example that we had with the both possibility that is possible to identify in the literature in order to identify the highly cited paper. For example, in the top of the table, the people use the citation rate to identify the highly cited paper. For example, this study, the first study in epilepsy, the people use the rate 400 paper to identify, in this case, 89 paper. In the second study, neurosurgery, the people again apply the citation rate in order to identify the highly cited paper. The same citation rate, 400. In this case, they identify 106 paper. Okay. In the middle of the table, for example, this paper of the social world. In social world, they use the number of the papers to identify the highly cited paper. In this case, they identify as the highly cited paper the 100 top paper according to the citation. In the last position of the table, for example, in the analysis of, in the field respirology, the author used the number of the 15 top paper in order to identify the highly cited paper. In this table, we show you different possibilities that the people use in the literature in order to identify the highly cited paper. Remember, it's possible to establish the citation rate. This paper is highly cited paper, that this paper satisfies this citation rate, or this paper is highly cited paper because this paper is in the top of the list of the more citation paper in this category. Okay? This is both possibilities. One important aspect that we want to say with you is that highly cited paper is very important. At the beginning, I said you, highly cited paper provide, it's possible to identify in Thomson Reuters Clarivate Analytics database. Before I say you that the Clarivate Analytics provide Web of Science, but using the information that you have in Web of Science, it's possible to define different databases. For example, they define the database to identify the highly the best journal in the different categories. And they implementing the journal citation repo database. They implementing the impact factor in order to identify the best journal. Okay, they produce other alternative database. In particular, Clarivate Analytics produce the essential science indicator. The essential science indicator is a specific database that is possible to identify the most cited individual, the most cited institution, country, journal, and in particular the most cited paper, in particular the highly cited paper. But this database is very important because with this concept, highly cited paper is possible to identify in Clarivate Analytics the highly cited research. And the concept of the highly cited research is very important to compute one of the more important university ranking, ARGU ranking, Shangai ranking of the university. Okay. Here, I explain how it's possible to identify the highly cited paper in Clarivate Analytics. In fact, they use one of the important approaches to identify the highly cited paper. In particular, they establish the collection of the top highly cited paper according to the citation. In particular, they identify the top one. Is the second possibility that before I show you to identify the highly cited paper. Okay, they establish that the top one of the list of the other highly paper is the highly cited paper, and using this idea, it's possible to identify highly cited paper every year. This is not the moment to explain you what is the way or what is the algorithm to identify the highly cited paper, but it is important that you understand the importance of this concept to identify the best university in the world according to Shanghai ranking. In Shanghai ranking, they apply this variable to compute the position of the best university in the world, okay? In the third place, you said that one important variable is highly cited research. In fact, they identify highly cited research in 22. Here appear 21, but they establish 22 subject category. The way of this variable in the computation of the highly cited of the Shanghai ranking is approximately 20%. You imagine that this factor is very important in particular for the small university, because the bigger university, the important university, are similar to Oxford and similar to Stanford, normally had, for example, computation, because they had Nobel Prize in the second variable. But for small universities, more complicated to identify Nobel Prize or to receive Nobel Prize. However, it's possible to have highly cited research. And by the reason, this variable is very important to establish the ranking of the university, highly cited research. In my particular case, I am highly cited research in engineering and in computer science. But engineering, in particular in engineering, I think that the threshold rate that you need to be included in engineering is approximately 8-9 highly cited papers. Perhaps actually changing at 10-11 highly cited papers, more or less. But really, it's more difficult to identify the particular algorithm that Clarivate Analytics used together with Shangai ranking in order to identify the highly cited papers. But more or less, the idea is very simple. In every category, they identify the highly cited paper, but every year, then they identify the author that had more highly cited paper in the last 10 years. Okay, in the last 10 years. Every year, they publish the list of the highly cited paper. In fact, they publish the list of the highly cited author and they publish the list of the highly cited paper in this month, in November. Okay, in November appear the new list of the highly cited author or the highly cited research at the middle. Okay. Okay, now I want to share with you the idea in order to identify the highly cited paper that we implemented in our research group. We introduced the new concept, the ACE classic. The ACE classic of a scientific field are the highly cited paper identified by means of the ACE index. In fact, ACE classic is the application, direct application of the ACE index in the collection of the paper that the people produce. ACE classic of a research area is the ACE core of the research area that is composed of the ACE highly cited paper with more than high citation receipt. Okay, the algorithm is very simple. Okay, this is the algorithm to identify the highly cited paper for the specific category. Okay, the more important, imagine that you want to analyze the social work category. What is the step that we need to apply in order to identify the highly cited paper of this field? Firstly, you need to choose the bibliographic database to localize the scientific production and the citation in this field. Normally, I recommend it to people to use Web of Science. In the second step, we need to set the research area and the study by means of the query and retrieve the document, journal citation area, or name of the journal. For example, you go to Web of Science, and in particular associated to social work, we have a collection of the journal. If you want to identify the highly cited paper in social work, you retrieve the document of this journal that is indexing in journal citation report, and in this way you have the collection of the old document. Okay, and the third step, you compute the H index for this collection of the document, for this area, okay? Step 4, you retrieve the H core, the document that is included in the H index of this area. This is the system, it's very simple. What is the advantage of the H classic? H classic had a lot of the similar advantage that the H index. The first, it comprises in a single method but traditional approach to identify the highly cited paper. It's very simple to identify. It's a scientific, robust, and transparent criterion to identify the highly cited paper. You don't need to adapt to the field because automatically the ACE classic adapts the behavior of the system to the field. Okay, this is important. It's very simple to compute, similar to the H index. Is a criterion sensitive to the dimension of the research area. This is my comment that previously I said you. this system adapts to the behavior of the research area. Is also a criterion sensitive to the citation pattern of each area, of each research area, okay? In this way, each class adapts the behavior to the dimension of the research area. In this way, each class adapts to behavior, the application to the citation pattern of, this, of each area. Okay, and this is important criterion because in this way we achieve a standard way to identify the highly cited paper. Okay, this is the example that what is the result that we apply the age class in the previous example that I showed you in the table. For example, remember in epilepsy in the previous table we identify age 9 highly cited paper. With our system, we identify 323 paper. Imagine that we are working with the collection of the 99,109 paper. This is the big collection. In our opinion, this quantity of the highly cited paper that we identify is more satisfied, is more consequent according to the quantity of the publication that we manage. Okay. In the case of the respirology, remember that the author identified 15 highly cited paper in this case. In this case, we identify 358 highly cited paper. In this case, the collection is the 185,563 paper, a big collection of the document. I imagine that this number of the highly cited paper that we identify is more appropriate than this other number that the previous author identified for this kind of the collection. Okay. If you want to know better the concept of the application of the age index, it's possible to study in this publication that we developed with this, introduced this concept, and we published the idea in very, very important bibliometric journal called Scientometry. Okay. Okay, now I want to share with you the other alternative way to develop a bibliometry study, SciMAT. SciMAT is a bibliometric tool based on relational bibliometric indicator that allows us to discover conceptual and structural and dynamic aspects of scientific research through the time. In this way, it's possible to delimit a research field and to quantify and visualize the detected sulfate by means of keyword analysis developed on the keyword the publication. The more important here is to build a special matrix, a special relation. In this relation, we compare the keyword, the publication, and we study what is the apparition, what is the presence of this word in every document. Inside to the matrix, we put the co-occurrence of this word, and with this important element, we extract the sign mapping in order to understand the content of the publication. This is the more important idea of this technology to identify or to analyze the publication. This is the algorithm that we apply in order to obtain the sign mapping in the particular topic. Okay. Initially, we need to retrieve the document from the different database. We pre-processing the document, the information of the document. For example, we identify different ways to identify the author. We identify the duplicate words. We normally say the information. Then we identify the co-occurrent matrix. Okay, this is important. To identify in each document, two words appear together, two keywords appear together. And with this way, we extract the network. Then we normally say this network. And using this network, we apply the clustering algorithm in order to identify the keyword that had a geospatial point of view, in order to visualize the connection between the different clusters of the keyword. Inside, we analyze the cluster inside to the cluster in order to identify what is the more important keyword in every cluster. And finally, we interpret the result. Normally, when you apply the sign mapping in order to understand the content of the sign that the people produce, normally you need to a specific expert of the sign that you are analyzing in order to understand, okay? With SciMAT, implementing this algorithm, is possible to develop two kinds of the diagram, two kinds of the sign mapping. The first sign mapping that is possible to provide with SciMAT called the strategy diagram. I show you in the first part of this figure, okay? The strategy diagram is based in two important concepts that is possible to define in the network of the keyword: density and centrality. And using both concepts, it's possible to identify in the network of the keyword motor trends, high developed and isolated trends, emergent or declining trends, and basic and transversal trends. Even I put this topic in this kind of the map, in this strategic diagram. Other possibility of sign mapping that SciMAT provides to the people is the thematic evolution. In the thematic evolution, is the second figure that appears here, is possible to show to the people what is the evolution of the field through the time. In this way, we connect the different strategic diagram that is possible to identify in different time window, and by means of this connection, it's possible to analyze the evolution of the field through the time. Okay, and in this way, it's possible to identify different topics, different trends, similar to appear in the math. Okay. SciMAT is the free software tool to develop bibliometric study based on sign mapping. It's important because we improved the activity in SciMAT, including in the analysis of the different keyword clusters, additional performance indicator. In particular, we introduced the use of the H index in order to identify different topics and the quality of the topic according to the publication and the citation. The different aspect, property, advanced, even the different algorithm that SciMAT implementing is possible to find in this publication that we developed in one of the more important journal in bibliometric study called Journal of American Society for Information Science and Technology. But the software that I show you is free and is possible to download from our webpage, our service, okay, in this link. I want to share with you different output of the SciMAT in order that you understand what is the importance of this software. For example, here I want to share with you a particular study that we developed with SciMAT for analysis periodontics and implant category, okay? During the year 2004-2030, okay? In this case, we use the WebSign database and we retrieve 30,000 documents to develop this study. To do that, we identify the more important journal that publish a paper about to periodontics and implantology. This is the collection of the journal that I showed you in the table. And we retrieve from this journal this collection of the 30,000 documents. And this is the strategy diagram that we developed in this study. In the first quadrant, remember, I had the motor trends. The motor trends is the hot topic, the more important topic that the people are working during this time, okay? In every circle, I put inside the name of the topic, I put sometimes the H index and other time the number of the document that support this topic. Okay, because when you have the keyword in the matrix, you have the document where appear the keyword, it's possible to access to the document and you put the information. The diameter of the circle corresponding to the quantity of the document that we had. If you had a big circle, you had a big quantity of the document supporting the topic. But the important in this strategy is the position of the topic. When the topic appears in the first quadrant, the topic is very important. It's very hot topic, and I recommend it to people involved in hot topic. When the topic appears in the second quadrant, on the left, I say that you are working the specific topic. The topic is important. The problem is that not many people are working this topic, okay? This is the case of the feature or reasoning frequency analysis in this case. In the first topic, we had the topic with the more degree of the density and the more degree of the centrality, okay? In this case, the more important topic here is dental implant or autogenous bone or periodontitis. When the topic appears in the third quadrant, this is the topic that possible are emergent topic, or it's possible that is the declining topic. What is the way to identify that the topic is emerging or declining? It's very easy. It's possible for you to establish different strategic diagram in the different time window, and when you compare, in this way you identify in the first diagram, the topic appears here. In the second diagram, the topic appears here in the first quadrant. This topic is emerging. In the first quadrant, the topic appears in the base or in the second quadrant, and in the next diagram appears here in the third quadrant. This topic is declining topic. Okay? Depending on the position, in this way, it's possible to identify the importance of this topic. And finally, when the topic appears in the fourth quadrant, this is the topic that the people use to produce the rest of the topic. By the reason, identifying the topic here as the basis topic, transversal topic. All people use this topic to develop the rest of the topic. This is the example of the study that we developed in the case of the periodontitis and implant category. Here, I want to share with you a sample about the evolution map that is possible to design or to obtain when you apply SciMAT. In this case, we analyze the social work area. In this time window, from the beginning, from the start, in the year 1930, to this moment that I developed this study in the year 2040, but in this case, we retrieved the document in this window time, okay? In this case, we retrieve we say the same idea. We access to the Web of Science, we identify the collection of the journal that published in the social work area, and we retrieve from this journal all documents that this journal published between the year 1930 2012. Okay, in this case, we retrieve 20,000 documents. In order to understand, in order to analyze the evolution of the field, we divide the time in 3 times, okay? The first time is 1930 1989. The second time, the second window time is 1990 to 2032, and the third is the year 23 and 2012, okay? In this way, this is the figure on the right in the slide. It's possible to see the evolution, the thematic evolution of the social work through the time in this period, okay? With the different color, we identify the different thematic area, different topic, different thematic area that is possible to identify when you join the different topic in the different time window, okay? In particular, we identify this important in the table on the left. It's possible to identify the thematic area. We identify the social service thematic area. And we can say that this thematic area is the classical thematic area because social service appear at the beginning and continue at the end in the third period. In this years, in every column, we have the different period. The social service area is corresponding to the color yellow, okay? The second color, okay? In the first of the graphic, we have the thematic area children, okay? Beginning, this thematic area start in the first period, continue in the second period with the topic children, and continue in the third period and divide in two topics important, forced career and disability, okay? In the table, we identify the thematic area, but we identify the number of the documents that support this thematic area, the number of the citations that support every thematic area, and the age index of every thematic area. In this way, it's possible to identify what is the importance of every thematic area. I want to show you very brief comment about, for example, if you analyze this sign mapping in the third period, at the end, I identify the topic immigrant. The topic immigrant in this year, 2014, appear in the third period, no previously, okay? If you analyze this diagram in this moment, I recommend it to the people that like to worry, social work, to worry in immigrant, because in this moment, in that moment, I detect that immigrant was important topic for the future. In fact, now we had a lot of people working in immigrant. In my university, I had a specific research center working in immigrant, in topic related to the immigrant. In this way, using this kind of technology, it's possible to predict what is the evolution of the science for the future and to make the appropriate decision in order to work in the particular topic or another topic, okay? This is the example to show you this possibility. Okay, we developed many kind of the study using SciMAT. Here we have the list of the publication. In fact, now, previously I said you that now I'm working in the new study about the evolution of the science in IEEE system and cybernetic science, and we apply SciMAT to do that together with H classes to identify the highly cited paper. I suppose that I finished this paper this week. Here I had a collection of the study that is possible to develop with SciMAT. Finally, this is the paper that contains the more important aspect that today I present in my talk. Thank you for your attention, and that's all. It's a pleasure to be here with you, and now is the moment of your question. It's your moment.
Thank you very much, Prof. Enrique. Very insightful. This thing is very important to the areas of people who are actually now doing research and to increase their visibility, especially when they want to increase the citation and things like that. And you are proposing the scientific science mapping tools that is very useful to everyone to actually learn and how actually they practice. Yeah. Perhaps I think if you could further share a bit part of how like the case of people who just in the middle carriers of writing or making a kind of scientific papers. So how do they could plan that their research can be well cited, especially this time around a lot of research are coming out and many publications coming out.
Sorry, Ali, I don't listen you very well. Please repeat me the question.
The question is how to define the topic that really could increase or to get more people to cite the works naturally or organically.
Okay. At the end, I explain you one way to identify the more important topic for the future is to apply this kind of the analysis of the content using SciMAT. Because when you apply the SciMAT, it's possible to identify that, I say in my explication, the hot topic of the discipline. But more important, when you identify in the third quadrant of the strategy diagram, it's possible to identify the emergent topic. Normally, how is possible to do that? Okay, you need to identify different strategy diagram and to combine the strategy diagram. In this way, you say, this is the hot topic at this moment, this is the basic topic, this topic is not important. Okay, perhaps I want to study this, but the people are not interested in this topic, because in the strategy diagram, I provide this information. If you focus on the first quadrant, in the third quadrant, it's possible to identify the topic that produce more science for the future. And this is my recommendation for the people, to apply this strategy diagram and to identify the emergent topic and the hot topic, because it's possible. The system provides you automatically this information. This is one way to identify the future. But using the concept of the age class is another way to do that. Because when you identify the highly cited paper of the author in the particular discipline, but not through the whole time, in the particular window, normally in the two last year or in the 3 last year, it's possible to identify, the highly cited research. And when you identify the highly cited author, if you analyze the output of this author, it's possible to identify the hot topic for the future. In this way, you have different possibilities to increase your background, because you can to invite to these people to come to your university, to invite to these highly cited authors to collaborate with you in project, in other ways to connect with these people in order to share your experience. It's a way to increase your internationality. You know, today, in order to produce good science, more important parameter, more important variable that the university evaluates the internationality. Okay, this is the way to provide you. In this case, you have two possibilities to do that: using map design in order to identify the particular concept, the particular topic, emergent topic, using the highly cited author in order to identify the main intellectual making of the science to connect with them.
Okay, Prof. Enrique, very interesting and insightful sharing with all of us. We are running out of time now. And again, I would like, on behalf of University of Technology Malaysia, Faculty of Engineering, and Malaysia-Japan International Institute of Technology, we thank you very much for your valuable sharing and contribution. And for the participant, I think stay tuned, and perhaps this talk is recorded in Facebook. And of course, please feel free to share to the others. And I think this is very insightful thinking. And stay tuned. And moving forward, I would like to meet you in person, Prof. Enrique, in the future, if this situation of traveling is getting better. Yeah? Yeah. Thank you very much, Prof. Enrique. And looking to see you again in the future.
Okay. Keep in touch, Ali.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.